Well, a little bit more information's come out about this supposed deal between Starmer and Macron to get rid of these dingy people that are coming into the country. Now, my suspicions were raised straight away with this because they said one in, one out effectively. We would return somebody that entered this country unlawfully by boat in return for somebody from France. One in, one out. I think they call that net zero or something like that with regard to the migration problems. Now, the reason it raised my suspicion straight away was I could see a situation where they'd attempt to make it across here by dinghy, and if they make it, great. If they don't, they'll be turned straight back round, sent back, and then turn up in this country later on as an asylum seeker. Thereby, I think Starmer and Macron think we're fucking stupid. I really do. The other thing as well, if you have a look at this tweet here from my mate Noel, 1,200 have come in since this supposed deal has been struck between Starmer and Macron. 1,200, and this is the kinds of figures that we're getting pretty much, well, you could say on a daily basis sometimes. Each of those big ribs that come over, I think, can hold about 50 or 60, sometimes more at a squash. So you can see the size of the problem. So how many will we send back? Well, this is the figure that I've seen, roughly 50 a week. So that's never, ever, ever going to outpace the number that are coming in, deal or no deal, is it? And not only that, what about those that are here already? What about those that have disappeared? You know, it's a null and void deal, and as per usual, the mainstream media and the government are in cahoots because they're trying to make it sound like something it actually isn't. It's a complete unmitigated disaster from beginning to end. So there you go, we'll see how that goes on. The real solution to the problem is the drawbridge needs to come up. We need to take stock of who is here, why they are here, and what they intend to do by being here. We need to find a way of strictly controlling who comes in. Never mind all this asylum, never mind this international treaty crap. It needs to end, it really does. And then we can get some kind of control over it. But the problem is, and you know, you can argue that a lot of what's gone on with this supposed Brexit we haven't really got has caused problems with this whole affair. It's got so out of control, there's no 5-minute fix if you obey regulations, if you obey all the international treaties and everything else. It will end up taking some very extreme measures, some very extreme actions, and I don't think anybody's got the backbone to even go there, do you? Meanwhile, this country is going... I saw a very disturbing news piece as well, which I'll bring you another video about tomorrow, so watch out for that. Well, in the next subject, you know, we should be ready for war. Yes, war. This came up. We should be ready to wage war with Russia by 2030. And there's been talk about building bomb shelters and underground command structures and everything else to increase our resilience to the fact that we could be having arguments with the Ruskies. Well, I'm not impressed because this creeps up every now and again. And you know, if you control the narrative by way of fear, and people fall for this fear, then they'll be all over you. All over you. And they get away with it again and again. You know, I'm a child of the 80s, and I remember what happened in the 80s towards the end of it, when you had issues with the Cold War. Reagan and Gorbachev on that table, do you remember? The fall of the Berlin Wall, do you remember? I remember it all. We even had a piece of it in my school. And then as the world went on, we thought, well, yeah, we might get a bit of peace and quiet here. We might have a peaceful world, but it's as if fate dictated otherwise. And you know what happened on 9/11. And the world seemed to change again after that point, and we've never known peace. Never known peace in our time since that point, have we? And now they're talking about we should be ready for war with Russia by 2030. They're talking about subscription. They're talking about home guard and all the rest of it, thereby the fear-mongering. The other thing as well, do you remember, I think it was last year, we had that situation where the mobile phones all went, bing, 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 this is an alert, shit yourself, blah, blah, blah. Well, they're talking about doing that again, broadcasting it. Apparently it's a system test that they're going to do every 2 to 3 years. But at the end of the day, again, it's another thing of control, isn't it? Let's keep everybody on their toes. I think this country, and we're not alone, we've started worrying more about everywhere and everything else rather than our own backs, and this is a problem that's been going on since the end of time. And we've ended up with types in positions of power who really shouldn't be there, and you've just got a layer cake of mistake after mistake after mistake, and then you get to a point where it becomes terminal, and then they start panicking, thinking, how are we going to get out of this? And then in the end it's the general public that suffer for their mistakes. What do we do? They say the solution to all this is at the polling booth, but what do we do? I suppose one thing's for sure, and this is a lesson that I learned, is do not take anything at face value. Do not believe everything that you read in the press, because they have invested interests in making you believe a version of events that might not necessarily be the right one. Always check in 2 or 3 different places, and then make your own mind up about what the truth really is. And once more people start realising that we're all being played, the world might be a bit of a better place, wouldn't you think? Just an idea. Anyway, it'd be interesting to see how that goes, and also about the dingy people and whatever deals come across there. But we know we're being played. That much is obvious, really obvious. Anyway, a bit later on, I'm going to do a slightly different live addressing some of your comments that you've made, so I look forward to seeing you then. If you haven't done so, please hit the like button, share this video, I appreciate it very much. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, indulge yourself with this one that's just popped up, and as always, I look forward to talking to you soon. Toodaloo.